From Mising Media, this is Above Status. I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Myford Mising. Above Status is all about sharing real, raw, and inspiring stories of young immigrants and uplifting conversations with activists, professionals, and politicians. The amazing thing about this podcast is that it is unedited and unfiltered conversations. Join us as we dive deep into personal journeys, explore challenges, and celebrate the triumphs of those redefining success. Speaking of success, I had the privilege to speak with Diana on the podcast today. You see, Diana is an impressive young woman who immigrated from Colombia to the United States at only 13 years old. Later to Canada, facing the complex challenges during these journeys. She shared her powerful story of navigating life as an immigrant child, coping with language barriers, culture shock, and the difficulties of being undocumented in America. Diana spoke openly about her deep family bonds, especially the strong influence of her father, who embodies resilience and entrepreneurship. Her journey includes earning a psychology degree while grappling with her immigration status, and ultimately helping her father build a successful trucking and logistic company from the very ground up. This experience has given her profound insights into business, leadership, and immigrant work ethic. We discuss the complexities of working in a family business and the invaluable roles of dedicated employees and the crucial importance of customer service. She openly discussed her personal hardships, including the emotional toll of divorce and how moving to Canada addressed her immigration fears and offered personal growth. Today, as a Canadian citizen, Diana offers powerful advice to young immigrants, emphasizing hard work, resourcefulness, and the courage to take risks. Our conversation was engaging, insightful, and brave, as Diana demonstrated. Her story highlights the challenges and resilience of young immigrants, showcasing their determination and contributions. It's an episode that speaks to anyone who values resilience, entrepreneurship, and the pursuit of a better life. Join us to explore Diana's inspiring journey of empowerment and transformation. Let's get into it.
Hi.
How is it going, Diana?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. So it's a beautiful Sunday. How was your week? What happened this week that probably made your day?
It was a busy week, busy at work. So that's always good that I'm always busy. I like to be busy. I don't like to be slow at work. So I think that was a good highlight for the week.
I think you're a different breed because when it's busy at work for me, I just lose it.
No, I don't want to be slow. Slow at work means I'm going crazy. So no, I want to be busy at work.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. And I would like to learn a little bit about your story. And I think your story is really interesting. I know a little bit of it. So I want to do a deep dive and basically understand a little bit about your journey as a young immigrant. And I know it could be very challenging. So to start off, how was your childhood?
My childhood was great. I had a lot of my family close to me, so I think that was a good backbone for my childhood because I had my cousins, and we would always get together with, my other cousins. We were almost the same age, so that was always the memories that I have being around them. With my grandmas, the same thing. We were hanging out with my grandma a lot, so good memories, close to family. We're really, really close to family. So I really enjoyed my childhood. It was a good childhood.
That's perfect. I think it's a Colombian thing because I have a friend of mine who's Colombian, and her family are very tight knit.
We are
And
pretty tight knit, yeah. Yeah, and I think it has to do with being Colombian or maybe Hispanic in general.
okay.
Hispanics are pretty close to their families.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was extremely close to my mom's side of the family, and I think that's what made my childhood so great. You know, we did so many things together. They took me to the beach, and they kind of embraced me as a daughter. My aunt did.
Wow.
So yeah, I have my they have two kids, and I'm really close to them. And still to today, I'm extremely close to them. They're like my brother and sister.
So, how much of a troublemaker were you?
I don't think I was a troublemaker. I think I was a pretty good kid, but I was mischievous. I wanted to do things, out of my way. Go out with friends and being outside, playing outside. I was not allowed to go out through the week because I was
Mm-hmm.
at school.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were my free days that I would go out and play with my friends and stuff. So I don't think I was like a bad kid or anything. It's just that I wanted to do so many things, so many independent things. I'm being independent, most of my life. So I think that's what it has to do with not a bad kid. I think an independent kid. I think.
That's good. Unlike me, I was the worst kid ever, man. I was bad.
But what's bad? What's bad to you?
Like set things on fire.
Oh no, 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 it wasn't that
Yeah.
bad.
Get into fights for no reason just to
Yeah.
find my limits.
Yeah.
So I remember one day I climbed up a factory roof and stuff like that. And everybody was so small down there. And they were like, how the hell did you get up there? And I think I was like 6 or 7 or something. But I always find myself in trouble. So
No, I didn't do any of that.
you didn't
No,
do
I
any
just
of
wanted
that.
to play. I wanted to be outside and playing with my cousins, with my friends. I just wanted to be outside playing. I think that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to dance. I wanted to, go out. I think most of the time it was just playing outside with my friends, being with my friends, what I wanted to do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how was it moving to America? I believe you moved when you were
13.
13.
Yeah. So
So how was that?
I think it was a big change. I think that's where everything changed for myself. We moved when I was 13 to Houston. My parents and my brother, the four of us moved there. My dad has his whole family's in Houston.
Hmm.
So I think that's what kind of opened that door to us to move to the States because his family was there. But it was tough. It was tough because I had my support system in Colombia. I had my
Hmm.
cousins,
Yeah,
the closeness to them. It was really hard. The new language, the new culture. I think that's what kind of I remember that we moved and I really didn't like it. I wanted to go back. I was the new kid in the middle of the school year.
hmm,
So I was the new kid
on the
when
block.
everybody else had already set up, with their friends. I was not wearing a uniform because back then we used to have uniforms at school in middle school, and
Hmm.
I was the one not wearing the uniform. So I stood up, through all the lunches. Like I remember everybody looking at me like, okay, she's the new kid. So it was really hard because I couldn't communicate either. My English was
Oh
basic.
yeah, yeah.
So not having that, freedom to communicate was really hard. So I think that's what I remember the most, not being able to communicate and to say how I was feeling or ask for help.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was a struggle to move to the US.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, did you ever have a conversation with your parents, asking them that to go back?
Yeah, one day I say I'm not going to school. I refuse to go to school. I remember that day that my mom was like, you need to go to school. You need to, get used to what the new routine is. And I remember that day I said, I'm not going back to school. I can't. I can take this. This is too much for a kid.
Yeah.
But I think looking back, they were trying to do the best for my brother and I. Like, I cannot say, oh, it was their fault, everything that
Yeah.
happened after that. But it's just I didn't like it at all. I don't think they understood what I was going through. I was
Mm-hmm.
13, so I was a teenager,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was tough. Being there was tough.
It is very common because my friend Alana, which I had a conversation with, went through the same thing. And she stopped going to school.
Yeah.
And then she even had like a something that she did where she called the school and pretend to be her parents and said, Alana is sick today and she's not going to come to class today. And then she did it for a good 2 weeks before her parents found out that
Wow.
she had some excuse absence.
Yeah.
And did you do anything similar? No?
No. I just remember saying to my mom, I'm not going back. Like, you figure out what you're gonna do, because I'm not gonna go back. But eventually, I went back the next day. But yeah, I just remember going to school and not liking it, not being seen, because I was not able to communicate like what I wanted to say. But I guess you get used to it as a kid. Okay, what are we gonna do?
Speaking of getting used to it, how long did it take you? Like, at what grade did you feel like, okay, this is okay? I think I can do this.
So I came in the middle of seventh grade. That's when I came into the States. And then by eighth grade, I think it was better. I started making friends. I started, the ESL group where everybody speaks Spanish. So it feels better. So I think by eighth grade, I was feeling a little better. I was still not, how I was in Colombia. And I don't think I went back to being how outgoing I was in Colombia. I kind of like, was more reserved and not being as outgoing as I remember being an outgoing kid when I was in Colombia. When I moved to the States, I think everything changed. I was
Everything
just,
changed.
yeah, just to myself. Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about when did your immigration status start affecting you on a higher level? Like, I know some young immigrants, when they're undocumented in the US, the early years, everything is perfect. And then it's when they try to get a driver's license
Right.
or looking to go to college. At what point in your life you realize that your immigration status was
I think it
something?
was high school. I think, middle school was fine. But once I started maybe turning 16, 17, that's when you start seeing everybody getting their car and, getting their license and being a little more independent from the parents. And you couldn't do that, like, okay, that's where the questions come in. Like, okay, what's going on? I'm different from everybody else. So I think it was high school. It was high school that I kind of saw myself as different. I was not the same as my classmates because, they were getting cars, they were, going to have lunch somewhere else because they could drive. And I couldn't do that. I had to wait for my mom to come pick me up and, move me around. Same thing in college. So now I knew that it was something with the status that I was not able to get the license, for example. And in college, I remember my mom bringing me to college and everybody
Wow.
else having their own cars, and my mom is there driving me to class. So frustrating times, not being able to feel like everybody else.
So how did your parents address that? I know as a teenager, hey, life gets real and you're full of emotions.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever have like some arguments and some intense conversation about the situation?
I think the arguments of why I cannot do this, or why can I just do it without it? Like, if I'm not able to get it, then I'm just gonna do it without it, right? What am I gonna have to do to be able to drive? So at that moment, I think it's just the fault. Who's at fault?
Yeah.
You brought me here, and now I'm in this situation. So why? Why do I have to go through this? But my parents, with them, I don't think we really talked about, why this happened. It's just that I kind of knew something was off. I don't think in the Hispanic culture, I think we don't really ask our parents the whys. I think it's about respect, and I'm
Exactly.
not gonna challenge my parents. They know better than me. But it was always at the beginning when I was growing up. The why did they bring me here to cause me this? They're causing me this. I see it different now, but it was their fault. It was their fault that they caused this, and I cannot drive, and I cannot have the same thing that everybody else does. Example, scholarships. I was pretty good at school, and
Yeah.
everybody else was getting scholarships, and I couldn't get the scholarships. So frustrating. I think that's the word that was in my teenage years, the frustration.
Very frustrated
Yeah.
and kicking and screaming every day,
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
your parents a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in college, because I was lucky enough when I graduated high school, I was able to get into college right away. So I didn't have to like struggle of not being able to get into college. So I went to school to college right away, but the same thing, I couldn't drive. So it's okay. I'm getting to those milestones, and I cannot do the simplest things of
The
driving.
basics, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, you went to college. I know it could be incredibly difficult financially because some states offer in-state tuition to DACA students, and some states do not offer in-state tuition. So, how did you manage to pay yourself through college?
Well, DACA was not there. Like DACA came in when I was like almost done with at the university. So DACA came in 2008, I think. That's like the first DACA, or 12. I don't
I
remember.
think to
Or 12.
2012, 13.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So I was almost done with school. I didn't have the luxury to have it when I was going to college, but I was lucky enough to have a dad. My dad is a really hard working dad. He really worked hard to bring my brother and my mom and myself. My mom didn't work. She stayed at home with us. So we were lucky with that as well, because she was always at home with us. We didn't have to like be by ourselves. And college, my dad just worked hard, really, really hard working dad. And he put me through college without any loans.
Wow.
We don't have any loans. Same thing with my brother. Like we don't know what a student loan is because of my dad. So I think that's another lucky thing, like I'm extremely lucky and grateful that I have this kind of dad that he's like, okay, you're going to go to school, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for you guys to go to school without having a loan. Because I think that's another thing that so many people now have, so many student loans, and we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me. I didn't have a dad or anyone to support me. I was working 2 to 3 jobs at some point to pay myself through college. And then for my bachelor's degree, I received the Dream.us scholarship
Okay.
that basically helped me out. And I was able to get my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And I can tell you, it was really stressful when I was doing my associates, trying to find the funds. And it's very difficult for young immigrants to get a good higher education. So I applaud your dad for doing the best that he can. And I applaud you
Yeah.
for powering through and graduating regardless of the adversities that you had faced.
Yeah.
So, I know you currently work in logistics in your family
Yeah.
business. How did that entrepreneurship come about?
Again, my dad. I think he's that figure. Even though I grew up in my family with really strong female figures, my dad it's extremely, yeah, he's the example in my life. He's such a hardworking person, and he was, he was always looking for ways to get his own business, to say. So in Colombia. He used to drive uh, tourism buses, to bring tourists in Colombia, and he will drive the buses. When we moved to the States, he decided that trucking was a good area to go into. He didn't know anything about the trucks or anything like that, but he put himself to learn from somebody that didn't speak a word of Spanish. My dad doesn't speak English that well. And he went out with this guy to learn from him. I remember him coming home and being like, this guy treats me like crap. Like, he was really
Oh no.
bad to my dad, but
Wow.
he was there to learn.
Yeah.
And he learned how to drive these trucks. And he went into to work for this company. And then being a truck driver it's not easy,
Not at
They
all.
move so many things around the country, and it's a really stressful job and so many hours.
Yeah.
And
You're away from family,
exactly.
missing birthdays and special events.
Yeah. So one day I remember I was finishing university. I went to university for a psychology degree. And I was almost done. I was probably like a semester. I was about to get done with it. And then one day he says, okay, you know what? We're going to open our company. I didn't know anything about trucks. I didn't know anything about logistics. I didn't know how the port worked. I didn't know anything. But just one day he decided that that's what he wanted to do. And we were gonna open a trucking company. We didn't have any trucks. We only had his truck. And that was that's how
What
we were
kind
gonna
of
move.
company is that?
Exactly, one truck. And then the people that work there, they don't know what they're doing. So, and then I say yes. I don't know. I think he's a risk taker, and I think I have that from him. I like to take risks.
Okay.
So I said, okay, let's do it. And we opened the company with one truck and no clients, no customers. I had to start calling people. Okay, we're here offering our services. And that's how we started. We grew up the company from one truck to maybe like 5 trucks in maybe like 2 years.
Wow, that's incredible. Those things are expensive.
Yeah. So we have 5 trucks. I was the one that was doing everything. I was doing everything in the office, dispatching. I was doing payroll. I was doing all kind customer service. I was doing all kinds of things. And he was a partner with some of his family. Then they couldn't do it. They just decided that they couldn't do it together, and they just parted ways. And then it was me and my dad again by ourselves, like the two of us.
Wow.
And I think everything took off from there. I was same thing, hardworking. I was there every day, even though we didn't have work or anything. I was just always looking for something to do. And the company grew, and we started buying land to put the office there. And
Wow.
yeah, and so we grew the company to 20 trucks.
20.
Yeah. So
Incredible.
yeah. So yeah. That's the logistic work that I grew up, and I learned everything from him. I know things now because I learned them, but it was from my dad. It comes from my dad, taking those risks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know it could be a very tricky situation to be working in a family business.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the dynamics.
It's hard because there's not a limit, right? Like, you go home and it's your dad that is your boss.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to kind of have that limit. Okay, I'm done with work. I don't want to talk about work anymore. I want to talk about, okay, the relationship that we have as a dad and a daughter. But it's tough. My dad has a really strong personality. Same for me. I have a really strong personality, so I know some things work, and he knows some other things work. And we kind of bump heads along the way.
We're spicy.
Yes, and we're Hispanic, so at the same time we're like, no, I know better, and he knows better. So, but we make it work. It's been 17 years since we opened our first company.
Wow.
And we're still working together. We're still bumping heads because we do it most of the time because of that strong personality. But I think deep down, he knows that I have his back. Now I'm the one
Mm-hmm.
that can take over the business and that I'm always there for him. So,
That's
yeah.
good. That's good that your dad trusts you,
Mm-hmm.
even though that's his passion project.
Yeah.
He trusts you to make the right
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, I think he probably trusts. He doesn't say it. He doesn't, he's Hispanic, he's Colombian. He doesn't say, oh, you're doing good, or he
Uh-huh.
never says anything like
Uh-huh.
that. But I can tell by the way that sometimes he talks to me, or
Mm-hmm.
the way he expresses himself about myself with other people.
Okay.
So even though he doesn't say it to me, but I know it's there. I know he appreciates what I do.
I think it's Caribbean and Latin
Yeah.
American people, the way that the adults or the parents, they show zero emotions.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they love you, they will show you affection, but for it to come out of their mouth, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's not in their vocabulary
Yeah.
at all. So,
Yeah, same thing for, yeah. I wish they will communicate or they will say something to you, like, because that makes you feel better, that makes you feel good.
yeah,
But I think it's hard for them to express those emotions.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, how is the business doing right now? I know the political landscape in the US
Mm-hmm.
is completely, I don't want to say much,
Mm-hmm.
but it's completely different from the previous administration, and there's been some rhetoric
Yeah.
and some crackdown. So, how's the business doing?
Well, the business was really slow last year. Last year was really tough, and I think it has to do with the elections as well.
Mm-hmm.
Election years are kind of hard on trucking and
Yeah.
logistics because
Uncertainty.
exactly people are just they don't really know what's gonna happen after the new president takes office. So last year was a tough year. We managed to kind of keep it up. This year we have seen an increase. I don't know why, but it's we have seen a big increase in the shipments. So I'm happy, even though I'm not with the political stuff that's happening behind it. But I think it's working for us right now. Hopefully, it stays that way.
Good. Thank you so much for making it through the first 15 minutes of this episode. This tells me you are enjoying our conversation so far. But I do have a quick favor to ask. Please pause now, take a 2-minute break to like and subscribe to our podcast. After you finish this episode, I would love it if you could tell us what you think of our show. Your support helps us share these powerful stories and reach even more people. We promise to continue improving the show, bringing you the most genuine, unfiltered, and inspiring conversations possible. If you or anyone you know would like to share your unique story, we would love to have you on the podcast. Please send us a message on your favorite social media platform at above status. Let's get back into it.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to a young, undocumented, or just a young immigrant starting off and doesn't know what to do exactly, but would like to go into logistics and trucking? What are like two main advice you would like to give, or basically some caution as well?
I think trucking is the main thing is that you have to work hard. The things are not gonna come to you and they're gonna be easy. I think work hard is the most important thing, and be resourceful. Like go look for customers. Be good with customer service. I think that's the
Yeah.
main thing that is making work for a company is the customer service. I make it work for the customer. Even though in the background I'm like pulling my hair out,
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that the customer it's taken care of. So I think the customer service is important and then hardworking. Those are the two good advices that I can give.
What would you like to caution?
Um, you're not gonna get rich. People think that trucking has so much money, and there's so much competition now. There's so much competition. So you're not gonna get rich. It's just not gonna happen.
So that means you have to be passionate to do it.
I think so. We work with the driver. I think the drivers are the superstars in the trucking business.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that I don't know how they do those long driving hours every day with no sleep. They rest between the trips, but the long hours that they do it is, I just don't know how they do it. So yeah, it's I think they are the ones that make the trucking business work. If you have good drivers,
Mm-hmm.
then your business is gonna work.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Um, could you tell me one major thing that happened at the company? Something that like really took you by surprise or was really hard?
I think the thing that scares me the most is the accidents with the drivers, because um, things or material stuff you can replace,
Yeah.
but you cannot replace a life of a
Alive.
driver,
Yeah.
or having to go and like talk to the family that something happened to the driver.
Mm.
So I think that's you know that's one of those things that I don't want to kind of deal with, the accidents, because it can change so many lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Interesting. So let's go back to some personal um, aspect of your life. And I know you went through hell and back, relationship wise.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Um
Whatever you're comfortable with.
yeah, of course. You get married to be with that person forever. That's what you do when you get married. And when that falls apart, it just brings the worst in people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I remembered, hearing about divorce and not thinking anything of it, like, okay, well, it's divorce, okay, move on.
Yeah.
But once you're in it and once you go through it, I think it's one of the hardest things that you can do. When the other person is not, taking advantage of the situation or being, a good human being, it makes it so much easier. But when you're dealing with the stress of the divorce and all the situation that comes with that, and the other person is making it even worse, it's a really hard situation to go through. And even more when you're in a new country and you don't have the support system to go through that hard time. It's extremely difficult and painful, I think.
Yeah. I haven't gone through divorce before, but I've been through some breakups,
Yeah.
which sucks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Heartbreak. I think heartbreak sucks,
yeah,
because you think of that other person so highly when you get together with that person and you admire them and you see them by your side. And when things like that happen, it's a complete different person. It's sometimes it's like you don't know that person.
yeah,
So it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, what would you have done differently knowing what you know now? I'm not saying don't get married, but I'm saying like,
Don't get married. That's one of them.
I'm saying maybe like, maybe I should have been more cautious. Maybe I know like it's not your fault. The person is just a jerk. They just, they are awful people.
Yeah.
But on your end, how do you think you could have like basically have a better understanding of now that you know right now? Like, what would you have done knowing what you know now?
I think sometimes, and I'm talking about myself right now, I give people too much opportunities and too many times to try it again. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And then you let people do it so many times that you think that's normal.
Yes, yes.
And so I wouldn't give that too many opportunities. Yeah, you make mistakes. Yeah, okay, once, twice, but then once you're those opportunities that you're giving that person is 20 times, 25 times, throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
I will change those opportunities, not wasting my time. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, you're not gonna change. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
don't change.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that I will do different, not give too many opportunities to go back to the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree with the mistakes. Okay, yeah, everybody makes mistakes, but it's just the opportunities that you give somebody and they don't take that as, okay, she's giving me another opportunity.
Yeah. So you gave too many chances. So you should have pulled the plug
Exactly. Long time ago.
sooner.
Long time ago. I was with this person for 12 years. So it was a
12
long,
years.
yeah,
Wow.
I was with him for a long time. And I give too many opportunities for something that never changed. And now I go back and say, why did I go through this for so many years?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I can take away from
Well,
this.
I wouldn't blame yourself for it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Just I would simply evaluate
Mm-hmm.
the situation and say, hey, I could have done something differently, but it wasn't my fault because I trusted someone could
Yeah.
change or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't think divorces are easy. Well, it depends on the person, I think. It depends on who you got married with and that if that person is the same mindset and they understand, okay, we're not good for each other and they just, settle easy.
Hmm.
But this was not the case. So, yeah.
It was a different mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I do applaud you
Mm-hmm.
for coming on top
Mm-hmm.
after everything that happened.
Thank
I know
you.
it was really awful, and seeing you excited and happy, and you just recently moved to Toronto.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are you enjoying in Toronto?
Oh, this city is so great. It's a big city. I used to live in Vancouver and it was a small city.
Mm-hmm.
Slow pace, rain all the time. And I try not to, complain. I try not to complain about things because I remember taking my dogs out in Vancouver every day and it was raining every day.
It would be soaked.
And everybody will be soaked. Yeah, I was, had to wear so many layers to not be wet. And the same thing with the dogs. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm not going to complain about the rain. I'm just going to take it as it is. And
Mm-hmm.
this is not going to change. So
Mm-hmm.
complaining is not going to make a difference. But now that I moved to Toronto, I love it. I love it here. I love the weather. I know the winters are harsh.
Yeah.
We get a lot of snow, but I prefer the snow 1,000 times.
Over the
So,
rain.
oh my God, yes, yes.
You know, my wife and I visited Vancouver, and that's where we met.
Yeah,
Um, when I was there, I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful! Look at the mountains.
yeah,
It's just fantastic." But it was great. It was raining all the time.
yeah.
I was like, we're never coming back
I
here.
know.
Maybe we'll come to visit Diana, but we will not go back to Vancouver for any vacation whatsoever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's very deceiving because all of the commercials I see and movies that I see that are filmed in Vancouver, everything looks like there's no rain or anything.
Yeah. Well, the
But
summers are amazing. The summer is great. It's a mild summer. It's not as hot as it gets here.
mhm.
But the rain is what makes it so hard. 7 months of rain, I need my sun. So I need to see the sun at least twice or three times a week if we get lucky, but it was tough, the weather there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go and touch on you moving to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You were living where in the US?
So we moved to Houston.
Houston.
That's where we stayed. We stayed in
Okay.
Houston for all these years.
Uh-huh.
Houston is home. My family is still there. Houston.
Mm-hmm.
When I go back, it's amazing to be back at home.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Trump won the first time, that's when I couldn't take it anymore. And the fear of
Yeah.
they know where I am and they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
take away the permit that I have
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that I worked so hard for. That I remember that fear. I remember that feeling of they know they're gonna come and get me. So that's when I decided I need to start doing something different, and I'm gonna find a way to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that I was married to, he was a Canadian citizen. He's
Mm-hmm.
Colombian, but he had the citizenship, and we decided that that was the best option that we had.
Okay.
Canada was the one that was gonna have me, and then we started the process. So we did the sponsorship to move to Canada, and we applied, and then a year after, everything worked out, and we moved. I moved the dogs here. I moved my whole life here, and that's where we are.
So, would you do it again, knowing what you know now?
I think so. Yeah, I will do it again. Yeah, I think Canada is a good country. It opens its arms to you, and it doesn't judge your background or what you had to go through before. They only see the good things that you can offer to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it has problems like any other country, because we have problems here as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change it. I love being. I'm a citizen, so I love being a Canadian citizen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
One misconception that people has about migrating to Canada from the US is that if you are undocumented or you have DACA or TPS, you cannot move to Canada because of your uh, immigration status. So, can you tell them how they can move to Canada?
No, I think if you have your, and I know a lot of DACA people and a lot of undocumented people there in the US don't have all the documents.
Mm-hmm.
But if you prove to Canada that you have some kind of background, or you have been to college and you work and you have the experience, that's
Mm-hmm.
what Canada wants. They don't want a criminal though, but
No.
you can have the back, the college that you want. If you're a criminal, they don't want you here.
I don't want you here if you're a
Exactly. I don't want
criminal.
you here either, but it's possible. You can do it if you have some kind of college degree, or you have a career and you have experience with that. It's possible to do it. I didn't do it through express entry or to the usual routes that people do it, because I was sponsored to move to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But it's possible to do it to express entry with your career and your education. So yeah, you can do it.
Perfect. To confirm, the Express Entry Program is a point-based system that allows people to enter a pool of candidates. So they are assigned points based on their education, language level, and
Right.
work experience. And then every 2 weeks or whatever the period is, they choose people from that pool, and then they invite you to apply for Canadian permanent residency, and then you can get your citizenship.
Yep.
That's exactly what my wife and I did, and
Okay.
that's what you did too.
No, I did the sponsorship.
The sponsorship.
So I didn't
Okay.
have to go through the point system. I
Okay.
just have to like show them, okay, I have an education. I don't have a criminal background. I was married to this person that's a citizen. Basically the same thing as press entry, but without the points.
Without the points.
Yeah, I didn't have to
Okay.
like have points, or I had to, prove that I spoke English, good, character. But it was similar, but not points
Not
based.
points. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one question that we like to ask on the show is, if you were able to travel back in time or forward in time,
Yeah.
what period would you go to, and what would you like to change or do?
Wow, that's a good question. I think I will go back.
Okay.
I will go back to when we moved to the US. And that's why I will say that to educate my parents better, to have more resources of how we could have a better understanding of the immigration system in the US. The immigration system in the US has a lot of problems that, they need to fix. But at the same time, we didn't have the resources or the information
To
to
make
make it work for us. I
okay.
think if we had like some kind of guidance when we moved, it will be a complete different story. So I think I will go back to that period to change that and to make it work for all of us, not just for the kids, but for my parents as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good. I think all immigrants need available resources where they can find information and connect with the people that knows or that has been there before and has gone through the process and be able to use those resources. I'm not talking about resources like going online or read some document or whatever, like some hands-on experience, someone who has done the same thing that they are doing now, they can have resources available to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to promote the show. The purpose of this show is to have this type of conversation with friends, family members, immigrant professionals, lawyers, and champions for immigrants, even lawmakers, to come on the show and provide these type of informations. By listening to the show or watching the show, you can get resources or get the point of view of someone who's been through that and free information available to you. So that's what we plan to do. And thank you very much for providing your thoughts and helping young immigrants uplift their lives. And I'm happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
It was an interesting conversation. You are always welcome to come back. One last question. What advice do you have for a young immigrant like 13-year-old Diana?
Okay. I think it's the risk factor again. Just take risk. Sometimes we want everything so, how can I say this? Not easy, but we kind of want like a book, like a guidebook of knowing what to do. And sometimes whenever we just do things without even thinking, things just come and they work out for you. Just have the courage to do things that you're passionate about. Don't be scared of people telling you that you cannot do them, because you can do them. With the work, you have to put up the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure to have you. You're always welcome to the studio. We'd love to have some more conversation with you. And thank you so much.
And thank you for having me.
And that's it for this episode of Above Status. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. I'm your host, Myford Mysing. Above Status is a Mysing Media production, and our theme music is by Steve D. Haiti. A major thank you to Dominic for helping make this show possible. If you enjoyed today's show, we would love to hear from you. Please take a moment to leave us a written review wherever you are listening or watching, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any other platform. Your feedback doesn't just help us grow. It helps more people discover these powerful immigrant stories and uplifting conversations. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and follow us on social media at Above Status for more content. If you or anyone you know would like to share your unique story, we would love to have you on the podcast. Please send us a message on your favorite social media platform at Above Status. Come back next week for a brand new episode. Remember, no matter where you are or what challenges you face, to stay above status.